I chose to do a second year because last year when I went into the program, I don't think I knew it then, but retrospectively there was a little air of curiosity. I was just interested in what service would be like, and I wanted to do it sort of from that angle. This year though, when I was reflecting on the second year application, a lot more in the front of my mind was choosing to do the service because of the nature of the service, knowing exactly what I would be doing, and jumping into that full bore right from the beginning. Whereas last year was a little bit of a learning curve and stuff like that. This year I wanted to choose doing the service and repeating the service in Philadelphia because I knew exactly what I was getting into, and I really wanted to show people that service is something that's worthwhile and valuable, not just from a curious perspective, but when you already know what it is. As part of the ministry in Philadelphia, I would feel most connected to the cooking, mainly because the food is the source of the meals at the inn. So because to be a cook, you have to know what's in the fridge, you have to know what's in the pantry and stuff like that. I feel really connected and tied to the inn as a whole because I'm always peeking through stuff, before and after. I'm looking at people made when I'm not cooking, and when I'm cooking, even if it's a good day or a bad day, I'm always working hard, and I'm always thinking of the guests that are coming in, and I'm thinking of, the practicality of the meal and things like that. So although it's not always my best days when I'm cooking, I always feel the most engaged. And the most important, regardless of if I'm happy with the end product or not, when I'm in the kitchen or around the kitchen. As a second year, I'd say one of the trickier parts of it that I was looking forward to finding out what it would be like is being experienced, especially since I'm the only second year in my community, being experienced in helping people that are new to service, or if not new to service, new to the FEM style of service. And that's been tricky to deal with because letting go sort of control, because I'm not a boss or anything, I'm just a peer. Letting go and making subtle hints and things like that, it's not something I've always been good at. So that's been something I've been growing into, and I've actually really enjoyed growing into that now. But for a little while there, it was a bumpy road, and yeah, I'm feeling a lot better about it now, but that's definitely a tricky part about being a second year without pushing your experiences and growing into a new community. People should consider doing a year of service through FEM, mainly because the Franciscan Heritage or charism has a real emphasis on joy while at the same time humility. And that's an interesting dichotomy because on the one hand, a lot of people think being humble or humility in general is putting yourself lower and like almost degrading and stuff like that. But at the same time, when you're doing it joyfully and you're doing it within a realm of service and with peers and within such a support system like the St. Francis Inn, it makes it really easy to make that transition and learn the shades of humility, that service isn't always being nice, that humility oftentimes means a little bit of tough love. But I would say that learning about the practicality of humility and the practicality of joyful, loving service is the main reason to consider a year of service in the Franciscan charism, because all of the secondary benefits, not some of the more impractical atmospheric things that you learn from it, rather than there's no books that you can teach you these things. So it was just a few days after I got back, and I was feeling real energetic and stuff, and a guest that I knew only on a limited basis, mainly because she's been doing really well and has gotten away from the Kensington area a little bit. She's on the west side of Philly, but she's actually found a better place on the northeast side, and she came up to me and she asked if I could help her move some stuff that was at her old place that she had already moved out of. But she didn't have any furniture at her new place because it was all stuck at her old apartment. And so I was real excited about it. I was like, yeah, this is exactly why I'm here for a second year, because I already know you, and any of the transitional dialogue there wasn't, we could just jump right into it. And that ended up not being true. It ended up being a runaround for about 2 months before we could actually both be in the same place at the same time. Mainly because she didn't have a key to her old house. The realtor had to be there, so there was all these parties involved. And we finally, worked it out, and we were able to pick up a couple of couches and all this stuff. The main reason it was a great experience was because, not the moving, I mean, that was sort of a pain. But once I got to her new place and I saw where it had this nice green lawn in front of it, and it was just this small apartment complex, and it was just her and her son and one of her granddaughters living, and it was just real spacious for the three of them. So it was amazing to be able to be hauling those couches up this little narrow staircase, just knowing that, this is furnishing, they're not exactly a new start, but, a continued journey away from the Kensington area and into a lifestyle that they really feel good about and that they're really energetic about for the future. Because she has grandkids, she's the main support system for her whole family. And so it was really encouraging to see that even that early in the year that I could jump into some sort of extracurricular type service opportunities just because people knew me and were comfortable asking me that. Whereas in other situations, I'm sure that they would be a little hesitant about putting that on me, but she knew that I would be at least outgoing enough to work out some way that she can move the stuff, if not do it myself. So that was a really good way to start off the year because it really felt like I was going to be exploring the inn's service in many different ways compared to last year. And then, yeah, that's been pretty true so far.